There we go. Good morning, welcome to Peace Pat Paints. I'm Pat, master of technical difficulties. I seem to always find them somehow. That light's way bright today. Probably because it's dark out. It's raining here in Oklahoma, which is nice. It's been raining a lot this year, which is actually that's weird. Like it usually doesn't. Usually rain like that. Let me turn this on. We can turn it back on in a second. There we go. So yeah, there's that. So we're gonna work on our little lizard guy we've been working on for a couple days. I'm gonna get him finished up, and then we'll probably start the other ones next week. I have like a ton of stuff I've got to get ready for this expo. I can show you these other snakes too that we were like we had that on the voting, but I need to get them ready so we can try and sell them. So, but I have some snakes almost done too. So, hopefully, my idea is to get a whole gang of shorts ready for this next week or so, and then just start blasting out shorts again. I've been behind on that. I've had a lot of stuff going on, trying to get everything ready for the show, and just life. Summer's crazy when you have kids. Anybody who has kids, yeah, I'll tell you, summer is nuts. Okay, so let's get this set up here. Boop 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 boop. Bam. All right, now turn this on. Bang. Woo. There we go. So he's actually looking really good. Really happy with how he's turned out. The camera seems to be happier with it too. It's grabbing it a whole lot easier. So great looking lizard man. Very different from my other lizard men, which are much darker green. But I like this one. Goodness. All right. So the first thing we need to do is we need to apply a little bit of what I call the grime wash or armor wash, or you could call it. It's not. I hate using the term armor wash because it's not like it's just for armor. It's for a bunch of other stuff too. So like try to use it for other things. I kind of like grime because it looks like grime. And you want kind of a beater old brush for this. Don't use the really good ones, because you're gonna be getting this stuff like way up in your foal because you're trying to get the grime. And I think you should be able to see that, so you can see how thick and goopy it is. But this is a mix of oil paint and mineral spirits, and it works great on armor if you're trying to pull out all the little details, or any kind of metal. Again, it doesn't have to just be armor. You see how that just popped right through that and just pulled it right out there. And this is going to make it all look a lot darker and grimy. Which is what we want. Our armored stuff to look, armors and metal weapons to look like armor and metal weapons. That's what we're going for. And it's a great, if you want to use this, any kind of place where you want to add a little schmitzies, this stuff works out great. You can also kind of pull a little bit off of it too when it dries. As long as you catch it early. If you wait for too long, then you can't pull it off of there. But if you can get to it early, you can kind of pull it off with like a Q-tip, or I would actually use a makeup sponge, a small makeup sponge for like eyeliner. Q-tips, they have a tendency to like leave cotton like strands on stuff, and I don't like that. So I try to avoid using them. But sometimes your best bet's an all toothpick. All right, a Q-tip. I finally reorganized I finally restarted my palette and organized it better. It was like way out of control. All right, we gotta let that dry while that's drying. Golly. I'm gonna leave that other stuff kind of brown, but these bone parts I want to bring out the edges of it. Just kind of hitting at these edges, making sure we can really see what's going on here. And it's almost an undetectable amount of paint, really. It's very light. You're trying to be subtle here. In this situation, maybe a little less can be more, you know. That was Naples yellow there. This is our burnt sienna. It might be a little too heavy. And we just need a kiss of this. We're just trying to give those wraps a separate color. Really help them be different from the bone it's surrounding, even though they were both based in the same color. This makes this look a little bit more like leather, a little bit less like cloth. Same thing down here. And you might pull your fine detail brush for that little guy right there. If you're not super confident with, or if you're shaking, I'm shaking pretty bad. I probably should have done it myself. I think I did okay though. And you could always come back and put a little bit of Naples back on there, pull it back out if you make a mistake. So don't worry too much about it. Okay. Speaking of detail brushes, and that's pretty much what we're going to be doing today, is just picking out some details, making things look like you're supposed to. This is a burnt umber. We're just going to trace this necklace. Give it a little bit more brown color to it. looks like it's dried up pretty good. Now what we want to do, what do I do with that? There it is. Hey, Sir McBeardsly. Listen, all I'm saying is Lehman Russ was kind of a jerk to me. Okay, so let's talk about Lehman Russ, though. All right. Hold up. Whoa. Okay, so Lehman Russ is... You have to understand, if they show up, you need to leave. If you're there for a fight, and if Space Wolves show up, or if the Space Wolves show up to your planet, just leave. If they show up ready for war. Because they like... It's like a dog that's all riled up. You can't really reason with it. You can't really... You know, because he's an animal. So, you know. I think Sir McBeardsly is about to be taken in with 1,000 suns. Listen, even the Grey Knights don't really mess around a lot with Space Wolves. Like, it's just a bad idea. Like, Space Wolves they're just... There's something else. We've got some Space Wolves around here, actually. One of my sons, his army is a Space Wolf army. Alright, now here's something a little tricky, a little advanced. Doing a little bit of edge highlighting on this. Now, but we want to also kind of like chip it in, like pit and chip it. So we're going to trace that line down, and then we're just kind of touch it very gently in some other places. Let me put this on that handle. All right, I'm starting to see the light. I promise, I'm getting there. They didn't have this kind of stuff when I first started, so I have to get used to it being a thing that I can use. Because I don't expect this Lizardman shines his armor per se, but it's definitely, I mean, it's used, so it's going to have some chipping and pitting. So it's just light touches. Just little bips. I don't really have another way to say that. Just touching, just barely tapping it. And it's really hard to explain how these little tiny things like this can really take one shoulder. So like even with this trash camera, you can see that little bit of shine, a little bit of flash where it's definitely gotten used and bait on and whatever. Let's see. Nah, it's all funny though. Yeah. Yeah. So like actually that used to be, that cannibalizing to gain info thing used to be a Space Marine thing in general. Like, but they've kind of over time it's become something that's more a Space Wolf thing. But being able to eat eat their like a piece of brain or something like that and learn something from it. That used to be something like all the Space Marines could do. They had like something in their bodies that did it. But they've changed. I like the idea of it actually being a little bit more clan specific. I like having different legions or clans or whatever. And they'll have their fancy things. You'll have to excuse me for eating a little bit. I was under rush today, and I did not get to finish my breakfast. Okay, again, so we're just barely trying to get the edges. And then we'll do a little bit of hitting it. Little bits here and there. Because, like, lots of things have changed. Yeah, it fits the Space Wolves thing really, really well. And I mean, I don't know. People can argue until they're blue in the face about what changes were good and bad that the Games Workshop decided to do. You know, everybody's entitled to opinions. But it's got to change. Things have got to change. If stuff stays too much the same for too long, it doesn't keep up with the times. And I know a lot of people there's still people salty about the Primaris Marines, and that was like been years ago. So there's always going to be a contingent of people that want to stay with tradition and whatever. It's like the same people who are irritated with the newest edition of Dungeons and Dragons or whatever. And it's like, yeah, people will. It's gonna have to change, and that's why you keep other editions. You can always go back and play them. But lore's got to move. The lore of things has got to move forward, and that's understandable. Now, I don't particularly like what D&D has become. I don't necessarily like everything Hasbro does. So don't take that. Don't take me saying this as like a carte blanche to what Hasbro's been doing. But you know, things have to evolve. You have to at least give it a chance to do that. Hopefully they can kind of get things going right. I don't know though. The problem with a board game company taking over something like Dungeons and Dragons is that, you know, they want to make board games, and Dungeons and Dragons is primarily theater of the mind. You know, you can't. It's not just a board game you go and play like that. That's not how it works. You know, and they're always going to be doing what they do. There's nothing you can do to stop it. I mean, beyond just going and getting into a different game. But yeah, Warhammer does it a lot, though. Warhammer loves to float around and make new editions, and I can see why people were upset with the Primaris thing. You know, all of a sudden you're going to change the scale of the entire game, and now I've got to buy a whole new army and paint the whole thing and yada yada yada. I can definitely see why people were angry at it. But again, you know, that's how games move forward. Got to change, otherwise it becomes stagnant, and then people stop playing. It's not like anybody's out there playing Kriegspiel all the time. If you don't know what Kriegspiel is, then go look that one up. You're getting ready to learn something about wargaming and how old it actually is. Because Kriegspiel is old, like Prussia. All like that. All like it. We're just trying to get these little bits drawn out. This way, when he's standing on the table, he's really got. You can really see his little greaves here. Ooh, my eyes went a little buggy. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay. We're almost to the halfway mark. Take a break. Might be able to fill a whole hour with this guy. Really kind of going for broke on some of this, which is fun. This is a really great sculpt too. So, you know, kudos to the folks over at Artisan Guild. Great job. Really impressive. All the lines are smooth and easy. Print came out great. This is just in their standard supports that it came with. I mean, oh. Oh, where's my super glue? Golly. At least it's a clean break. Yeah. Oh, that'll break your heart. That'll break your heart. Tell someone space wolves are literally space Vikings. They're savage, great hunters. They brew highly toxic poison to get drunk, and it cannibalize into Maze gaming info. Yeah, it works. It works. And it, you know, I mean, it's only like mildly poison. It's only poisonous to like normal people, not space marines. Oh, that sucks. Okay. I hate when I snap the tips off of them. It makes me crazy. I said at least that break was pretty clean. Be careful. You're just patient. Like a little bit more patient than that, Pat. A little more patient. Okay. I'm gonna get this little greave done, and then we're gonna take a short. I'm gonna take a little coffee drink, hang out for a second, and we will we'll get back on it. But yeah. That's definitely, it's fun. Yeah, it's weird, man. They're. Let me think about how I want to say this. Okay, so there's too many options now. That's what's happened to Dungeons and Dragons. You can do anything now. So once you can do anything, then what's the point of doing it? Like, there's no wonder left. There's no... And also, there's none of this... There's no places where, like... bad guys begin and good guys end, necessarily, race-wise. Like, all the little races are all... how do you say this without it sounds wrong when I'm the way I'm saying it, but having a lizard man in your party isn't a great idea. Let's take for example the Lizardmen, like we're working on right now. You don't actually want one of these things in your party. It's not a great idea. I mean, it's something okay, like put in some supplementals or some things like that where people can come who really have like maybe a good DM or whatever, and they can they're equipped to handle it. But like adding like typically what we would consider like a evil race into the normal tranche of playable characters for PCs is a bad idea. It just opens Pandora's box to too much weird stuff. Things that your typical DM is just not going to be equipped for. It's almost a little bit unfair. You know, if you're a DM coming right out of the box, you're going to have a bad time. Because these guys are getting ready, especially if you're playing with somebody who kind of knows a little bit of how to play, and they want to, you know, you get one of these weirdos that wants to make the game kind of derail or whatever. Like it's about to suck because they gave them too many options. And another thing is like it's already hard enough for people to decide like what to do with it in Dungeons and Dragons with their characters. Like, what do I do? You know what I mean? You know, what does all this mean, especially if they're for newer players? So too many options just makes it to where it makes it harder, and so your session 0 is longer because you're trying to get all these people on target, you know, and you got to answer all these questions, and like that was streamlined. It used to be a whole lot more streamlined, and that was one of the beauties that they kind of did. Is they had kind of streamlined it a little bit, and then they've gone and undone that in favor of everybody being able to do everything. Yeah, that's kind of my point is like everything we don't need to have in a fantasy game, we don't need to make it to where there are good lizardmen and bad lizardmen. Lizardmen aren't good or bad in general, honestly. They're not really even evil necessarily. They're a creature. They have a primitive intelligence, like a little bit above like an 8. You know what I mean? You know, like a Sahagin, that's an evil creature. It's like an evil sea hobgoblin. It's terrible. It's a terrifying thing. But like a lizard man is just like it's a creature. It's a humanoid lizard that wants to eat you and your babies. And not because it hates you or it's evil, but just simply because you taste good and you're easy to eat. That's it. That's all it is. Like I love these lizardmen with all this armor and stuff on it. This is really cool, but this is not necessarily like lore accurate to most lizardmen. This guy is outfitted out, man. He's ready to rock and roll. He's like some sort of warrior caste or something. But you're like, no, your average lizard man isn't good or evil. It simply is. It's simply a creature that its entire premise in life is to eat and make more lizard men. That's what it does. So like trying to ascribe like higher function to these things so that people can live out one of their fantasies in the main book isn't what I think they should be doing. Like you can add that stuff in supplementals, things like that. That's what they used to do. Is you just get supplementals and but now I guess with everything being online, they just drop it all at once like that. And I don't know that that's good or bad. We'll see. Maybe they'll get better at it after they do a couple rounds of this, and it'll get better. But who knows? You know, we don't really know. We'll have to wait and see what they do with it as things move on. A little bit of this flash right there. I do kind of like letting them have a little personality, though. It's kind of fun. Giving a little bit of red here. This isn't normal. Like these lizardmen are pretty advanced. They've actually gone to forging armor and stuff. So you know they're not a typical lizard man clan here. Lizardmen aren't necessarily known for being like technologically sound and doing a lot of smithing in general. They're typically more like clubs and like this spear is spot on for a D&D style lizard man. That spear is exactly what he would be using. but the armor is a little off. But I like the armor, you know, so I'm glad the sculptor put it on there because I think it looks great. But again, it's not necessarily quintessential Lizardman kind of gear. One more pass over some of these leather strips that maybe got a little taken away from us. I need to red that out too. Now leather color back. I think it's cool. Like they definitely can see, and you could see Lizardmen trying to emulate certain things that they see from cultures, like armor and stuff like that. Because that's a very Lizardman kind of trait. Darken up these teeth pieces a little bit. Really need to do these scales are wrong. This needs to come down a little further. There we go. The same on this side. I have to come in with that other green. Get that set up. We're doing great on time. Yeah, absolutely. Certainly says. I mean, we're back to the making things good and evil. Rings of power giving orcs little orc children. Orcs don't have children; they're born in mud and filth and evil. Yeah, yeah. In Tolkien's universe, they are created. They are spawned, which is, and they kind of go on and they take a little bit of that and make fun of it in 40k, whereas like orcs in 40k are a fungus. It's like a living mushroom. It's a fungus that you get on your planet, and that's what happens if you get orcs, which I think is hilarious. It's like, oh god, I'm infected with orcs. But yeah, in the original writing of Tolkien, you know, they're corrupted, and then they're kind of created after that. Especially the Uruk-hai. The Uruk-hai are not like, you know, yeah, it's not good guys and stuff like that. They just, I don't know. It's that quest to just make everything fit in and make everyone, you know, part of the big team or whatever. There's a point where that stuff just loses it. It loses some of it, of the glory that could have been found there. You know, one example of a good guy in an orc encampment would be one thing, but like trying to show this bleeding heartness for it is another. And Tolkien wasn't trying to represent any one, you know, person or personages. Like the whole idea behind orcs and stuff like that was to represent the embodiment of evil. Like they were to represent the savage and evil side of humanity in a war situation. Because, you know, there's a noble side to humanity, and then there's a not so noble side to humanity. That's reality. That's real. And the orcs are supposed to represent that savagery, that evilness that we as humans can aspire to. And whereas the elves are the old is this old guard, the old ways, they're dying out for this new way of war that's coming. Because Tolkien was, you know, he was very heavily influenced by World War I and what he saw over there. And so when you start putting it all together, it starts making a whole lot more sense. But, you know, those who forget their history are doomed to repeat it. Here we go again. What am I going to do, I guess? I'm just an old painter. We just complain about it on the internet. You could always, as see, McBeardsly says, you could always play out in lore that they took some armor off and adventure and killed it. Yeah, except for these guys have like a styled armor pieces now. Like they, I mean, maybe they killed a bunch of guys and took them. There's only a few of them, I guess, that have the pauldrons. No, I think they all have at least one pauldron. Some of them too, and they definitely like scratched something into it. So yeah, it could definitely be that. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's my plan is to sell them, honestly. So, anybody can make any kind of lore they want. But again, that gives you more of a chance of like fleshing out that world, and doing stuff. Whereas if it's all in the handbook that all these races are, good guys or whatever, it kind of, where are the bad guys? Who are the bad guys? Like, like, is it just now like only undead are going to be bad guys? Is that where we're going? I don't know if I want to play that. It's like you're almost once you put it in the handbook like that as a playable character, it makes it to where you loathe to put people in fights with them because you're like, nah, they're supposed to be part of the culture, I guess. So you try to bring them into the culture, and then it gets weird to fight them. I don't know. Too many DMs letting people take Gobbo the Goblin home and statting him up. That's what happened. I'm sticking to that story. But yeah, there's just I don't know. To me, there's a line. There's a line. And there needs to be, dang it. Like, we need to have, like, let the DMs make those decisions. Don't just put that straight in the handbook. Pretty happy with 5th. Fifth Ed's alright. 3rd Ed's the best. Third Ed was amazing. 3rd Ed was really good. 3rd Ed was good. 2nd Ed was good. 5th is alright. 4th was something. 4th was something. It was interesting. It was more like dramatic. You could add more drama toss, I felt like, to 4th Ed. Okay. Little stonework here now. That's just Payne's gray and white. Don't worry too much. If you make a little bit of a smudgy on the base, you can always, we're going to cover it up with some more colors here in a minute anyway. We just put a little brown down to get started. So if you get a little overpaint here, down to the base, don't stress it too much. Try not to overpaint onto your bigger though. that would suck. I'm dreaming of another color. That might be too green. Yeah, that's a little too green. Oh, I think that's the one. sap green. Yeah, that's the one. Alrighty. Some sort of grass tuft sticking up, kind of fun. There's so many different types of green now that I can literally just keep going different kind of green after different kind of green. Actually, I do want one more. One of these. Pale olive. I'm gonna put that coming right on the tips of it. Alright, we're doing a little line of this Naples on here. At this point, what we're trying mostly to do is just bring out the root that's here. With another color on top of this, it will kind of look like, oh, the different parts of the texture to the wooden part of the root itself. Oh, that's my coffee. I'll put that in there. Okay, I'm gonna get this little brush out. Get in between these toes real fast. Alright, and that's a raw sand, a raw, not raw, burnt umber. Man, make sure we got everything coated real good. Take care of any of our blemishes from the rocks. There we go. Maybe do just a little bit of a wash on these rocks just to kind of help them blend into the rest of everything. There we go. Do his teeth, get his mouth, and we are ready. And his eyes, of course. Absolutely terrifying maw here. That's wild. Fly just landed right on his leg. That's crazy. Okay. I'll let that set up for just a second. Then, where's that hot ass pink? I'm going to probably use a little magenta. There it is. I love this opera rose for the inside of lizard mouths. It's like, it's so hot pink it like glows. Pretty pink. Pretty pink. Lizard mouths are kind of pinkish. Okay, here we get to look at one. Maybe just the tiniest bit of a red wash. Make sure it's nice and dry. Those are studs from the support from when I printed it. That's what that's from. just a little bit, especially on this side. Boy, that one's bright. All right. All right, that's not bad. Yeah. I mean, 5e is I mean, 5e is honestly a really great way to get started. It's a fun type of a way to play Dungeons and Dragons. Because the way it's set up, it's fun. But like I said, you get into where we're letting too many things be playable. Like when I was first started playing D&D, you couldn't be an orc. You couldn't be a half orc. That wasn't gonna happen. No DM was gonna let you do that. It just wasn't gonna happen. Just because they weren't part of it wasn't that way. But you know, orcs got popular. World of Warcraft did that. They made orcs super popular. For good or bad. I mean, you can argue that till we're all blue in the face. But for the most part, you know, you really need to trying to make it too playable for everyone instead of trying to keep to its roots is a little bit of you have to be careful with that. So you have to, because if you lose the people who really made it happen in the first place, then they're not coming back, and you're relying on customers who don't really understand the product you're selling. So you run into this thing where you might create a bigger problem than you solved. You know, because the idea is if everybody can play, then maybe everybody will want to play, and you can get a larger slice, you know, a larger player base, which makes sense, unless you alienate the actual people who play the game. Because one of the problems with a game like a role-playing game is you need a dungeon master or a game master, and so like if you create a system where nobody wants to run the game, then your game dies. That's it. That's the end of it. And that's what worries me about Hasbro. Because if they get to a point where Dungeons and Dragons isn't making any money, they'll discontinue it. That'll be the end of it. And then all we will have is the old editions. I know I'm canceling my subscription. I don't, and mine's mainly because I don't use it. I don't play anymore. So, there we go. Lizardman 1. One and done. There we go. Nice. Yeah, it looks good. Lizardman. He's a lizard. Lounge lizard. Look, Mama lizard. I do want to do one quick thing here. Where'd it go? Looks like we need to come back and do that and this side. Alright, here we go. Yeah, we'll call it good. Yeah, much better. That's a lot of fun. That's a great model. I think that's great. Good times. Can't wait to do the next one. Be super fun. Alright, kiddos. Well, oh, man, what did I do? I made this thing too big. There we go. I full screened it somehow, and now it's... There we go. Whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. What have I done? Hopefully that. There we go. That should be fixed. Okay, now. Like I said earlier, I am definitely not the most technically inclined guy. So there's always some technical mistakes around here. Still counting in days to get back to roots. That's funny. Can't wait to hear about it. There's a game that's been blowing up later called Mage Arena. Your 5 wizards versus 5 wizards. Use your mic to cast spell. You just hear a dude yelling freeze, fireball, magic missile. Yeah, that probably will be funny. Anyway, go have a good time with that, my friend. I'm gonna get. Oh, I was gonna show off these snakes when I got a little bit of time. So we're getting closer on getting these guys done. I'm kind of keeping up with those same patterns we did with. Oh, what am I doing? Weirdo. Dark wizards. Oh, that's the right one. There we go. So yeah. This guy's getting pretty close. And you know, I used the color test from our smaller ones we were working on to kind of come up with getting these guys done. This guy's looking great. I love this color scheme. Really fun. I'm gonna come back in with that green and do it. I need to. There's a couple places where that yellow got poked a little bit more through than I wanted it to, or the yellow green. So we can come back and get that, and get it to be this green, and then I'm thinking I might come back with another round, just a dry brush to bring it up. I might leave it like that. It's a great color. Anyway, if you're in Shawnee tomorrow, come by and see me. I'll be down at the fairgrounds doing the Triple C Expo Pops Diecast. So big shout out to Pops Diecast for putting that together. That's awesome. Really appreciate you. And we'll be there with new table stuff. We've got new skirts for the tables, so it's gonna be cool. They're gonna look pretty. They'll look pretty snazzy. So I'm excited about that. So yeah, Pops Diecast, Triple C Expo in Shawnee, Oklahoma tomorrow. So we'll be doing that, and then next week we'll be back, paint some more lizards. So we got 4 more Lizardmen types to do here, and then we can figure out what we're gonna do next. So who knows? I'll keep painting. You guys keep watching. Anyway, be good to each other. Be good to yourselves. Be good to somebody. Just be good. Put some goodness out in the world, and put some vibes out there that are good. Because the world, like honestly, guys, listen, that we need it. Right, especially right now, it's crazy. It's crazy. Take care of yourselves, and we'll talk to you later.